enjoy Liberation just have vastly different understandings of what Liberation is for.
I haven't seen this much importance and attention.
The story itself is a really wonderful, really great setup.
Tractor beam has been engaged.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Tractor Beam Comics Reviews on the Star Wars Underworld Podcast Network. Again, I can't point to the flag because the flag with the mic is in California, but it's coming back. It's coming back. We promise. Today is Wednesday, August 7th, 2024. It's the 31st week of comics in 2024. We're rolling ahead. Also, I got to say, this is issue number 97. So this is our 47th week since the
Wow.
strike. Since we started during the writers and actors strike. This is our 47th. So in probably not 3 weeks, but sometime in September. Actually, it'll be kind of around the time I think Vader number 50 or Ongoing number 50 comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Around the time of our 100th.
How fitting.
Yeah, they're of our 50th. There we go. There you go. Anyway, synergy there. I'm Matthew. He's Chris. You can follow me on follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Instagram, and Threads at Iron Cannon Pod, EYEONCANONPOD. Follow Chris Twitter and YouTube, Star Raptor STARRAPTER. Check it all on YouTube. Check out all of his San Diego Comic-Con footage.
Yeah,
really fantastic. We're gonna get to San Diego Comic-Con in a bit. I think I forgot to make a thing for it, but that's okay. We'll definitely get there. So definitely go to his youtube.com/staractor. Check out all his coverage, including post-panel reaction with some familiar faces. That was pretty funny. Like, wait a minute. And I know for a fact one of them is more caught up on Hieroglyphic than I am. Dom is definitely more caught up. Yeah. Although I'm 30 pages. I'm 30 pages away from finishing.
Oh shoot!
Temptation of the Force. So I will.
No way.
Hopefully this weekend.
You'll be just in time for the middle grade novel, which is out in like 2 weeks.
Yeah. So that's yeah, and that'll be an easy. That'll be maybe a week to read, but. That comes out after Fan Expo Canada, which I should also mention. I will be at Fan Expo Canada.
Woo!
The only guaranteed thing I have is a Taylor Swift panel. That's okay. That'll be fun.
You're writing it, or is it?
No, our friend Ash. She's leading it, but she definitely like the Taylor Swift Star Wars Venn diagram is strong with her and strong with me. So yeah, that'll be fun. But we had some higher book panels. We applied. She applied. We didn't get them. Just how it is. So maybe we'll do them as Iron Cannon episodes. Just putting that up there. Just see, if Fan Expo doesn't want us, we'll just throw it up on YouTube. Why not? There we go. Speaking of Iron Cannon, you can check that out. I'm taking a break through August, but Joel's still going strong. At least last week and to next week. This past Monday, I had Omar. He had Omar on the pod Monday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific. Had Omar on the pod, chatting all about canon and having a singular canon and what that might mean. This coming week, he's doing a Legends look back in Legends comics, Tales of the Jedi comic.
They're next on my list actually for comics. I just finished on my flight over to San Diego. The Dawn of the Jedi comics from Dark Horse. So.
Yeah, so I guess you're going in chronological order, sort of.
Yes, I am. I got everything up into basically all the High Republic, all the Old Republic stuff.
Nice. Yeah. I think I've read about half of Tales of the Jedi. Anyway, him and I believe Red Leader are going through. They've done a few episodes going arc by arc, so they're continuing their series next week right here on the Star Wars Underworld YouTube channel, etc. Check that out at 8:30. Also want to plug the Discord server, Star Wars Underworld Discord. Check the link in the description below to come in, chat about comics, chat about Star Wars, of course, chat about Star Trek, chat about whatever you want, chat about Marvel. There's different things. Your homework for tonight, if you're seeing this and you want to go check the Discord, tag Joel and ask him what his favorite hot dog condiment is. No one's ever taken me up on this homework. I don't know why I do this, but anyway. It's just check that out. I'm in there, Chris, you're in there a little bit. Quite a bit coming with video games and the cards and things like that. So yeah, it's a fun place to be. Also, the Star Wars Underworld YouTube channel, coming back to that. We got super chats, and we got YouTube memberships. So yeah, if you want to support the channel that way, support the network that way, we would be much appreciated. If you do chat, make a comment, and we'll try and fit it with the flow of the conversation. I see a comment right there, Brandon. We'll get to that in a second. Yeah, we'll do our best. If you super chat us, we are guaranteed to you're guaranteed to get to it as soon as we possibly can. And so please, if you're so inclined to support the network and the channel, please do so. I haven't read Legacy. I think I've read maybe there was an ash can or something, like a number 0.
I have not read any of that stuff after. Yeah,
it's interesting. That one, I'll just say that one's an interesting historically. That was a casualty of the Disney changeover because that released right then, I think, and just Legacy, that run released right in probably 2012. I don't remember. Legacy. I think there's like maybe 50 issues or something, and then of course the Disney changeover. And so you go to a thrift store or used bookstore, and they sometimes have 50 of them or something. So interesting story. I haven't touched it yet, but maybe one day. But we got some canon comics to talk about, so let's chat all about them. We got three stories, 2 High Republic stories, and a 2 High Republic stories and a kind of Dark Times era story. That's pretty interesting. We'll start off with High Republic Adventures number 8, written by Daniel Jose Older, art by Harvey Tolabau, LeBeau Underwood, and Elizabeth D'Amico. Colors by Michael Attier, and cover by Harvey and Kevin Tolabau. Also, got to shout out. This is the cover by the Tolabaus, but also variant cover by Edmonton's Sheriel. So check that one out. So she drew another one in this run as well.
I did not realize that they do multiple covers for these anymore.
Yeah, so for adventures, sometimes they will. Yeah,
they used to always do A and B covers like religiously for these IDW comics.
Yeah, I think maybe Dark Horse they've kind of drawn down a bit, but this one happens to have a cover B by Sheriel from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Got to shout her out there. Anyway, everything is about to change as Lula, Zine, and their friends approach Ariadu. They are attacked by Nihil fighters. Will the hope of a Republic resistance be shot down? Meanwhile, on the other side of the galaxy, events are unfolding that will surprise the Jedi and the Nihil and alter the course of their galactic battle. The most shocking chapter of the High Republic saga yet. This description does not undersell it, or does not undersell it. Certainly, maybe it oversells a little bit. It was an exciting issue, exciting book. Really, mostly drew the action pretty well. I felt. The team effort here with the art, especially I guess it was Farzala and I forget his master or whoever it is falling from the ship out of the into the escape craft or whatever. That ship crashing into Ariadu. All that action, and then Crick's Camerat. Who knows? Yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting thing. I don't quite know what his allegiance is to. Is he actually trying to assassinate Markian? Is he trying to rise the ranks? I mean, he has this whole thing about is he going to make Supreme Chancellor one day? I guess maybe he still has that delusion going. I don't know.
Crazy.
But he runs into what's her face from
Thayafar.
Yeah,
she's basically like the secretary of Markian.
Yeah, Markian's secretary. So we're kind of at this level, right? We're in the middle management here of the Nihil going on here.
Did you recognize the other guy though?
No, I didn't. But
Arathab, you didn't know him? The guy that's from the Trail of Shadows with Emmerich and Sylve, or whatever her name was, like the PI investigators of the Nameless. And he was like one of the hired assassins that came. I think he's one of the I forget what they're called. There's a special name of like his honor guard. I think he's like that.
Like Children of the Nile, probably not. But
no, it's Shiites.
Oh yeah. Those things, yeah.
Or whatever, yeah.
Probably not Shiites.
No, something.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean, like Shi'ar or something. Like
Shi'ar,
that's it sounds like the tall Shi'ar in Star Trek, but that's a whole other thing. Yeah,
and I don't know, man, because not to go off the rails here, but I don't know. Maybe I read something in the novel for what was it? Eye of the Storm? No, Temptation of the Force.
Yeah, with Thyra.
I'm pretty sure they made a reference to this guy being dead by this point in that book.
Maybe, probably.
So, yeah, maybe Marchion Ro assumes he's dead because they released him into the escape pod.
Oh, that's the same guy. That's the same guy that Marchion chucks onto the Blight.
What?
Maybe I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't remember. But I remember there's the one guy in Temptation of the Force. So we're definitely off the rails. So I'll bring it back in a second. But yeah, in Temptation of the Force, he brings a lackey because he's Marchion. He does not care about anybody. He brings a lackey. I wonder what would happen if I just into the Blight. And yeah, he dies a pretty brutal, painful death because that's what happens when you get in contact with the Blight, unless you're Marchion and you have the Rod of Power.
Apparently. Yeah, apparently that doesn't phase it, or
So,
the end of that book. I can't wait. I can't wait to hear your reaction to the end of the book. You're so close to the end.
I'm pretty close. But yeah, so this one, to bring it back to High Republic Adventures number 8. Yeah, again, it was exciting. You really see the Jedi and Lula and Zine come together as a team, and they are very clearly a team. And then the ending of this comic really kind of surprising. I mean, I kind of thinking about it, I liked Lula finally proposing, getting it out of the way, saying we've almost died so many times. I just got to say this now, and kind of picking the moment that they've built up to this romance between the two of them. And then both this and High Republic 10 have some pretty, I think, pretty like the most shocking chapter of the High Republic. Apparently, the Stormwall moves again.
That blew my mind.
Yeah, it's like, what? Okay,
wait, because that didn't happen in any of the books yet, right? I'm pretty sure they only got to Iriadu, and then that's where we find it in Temptation of the Force. Like, they never pushed past. So I'm always thinking that these novels are the furthest thing in the timeline. So I was shocked as heck when this Dark Horse comic says, "Oh wait, you thought that was it?"
Yeah, I mean, one thing I wonder is, okay, the Stormwall just moved a little bit because we knew it was right at Iriadu. If it just moved a little bit, it wasn't notable enough. If the characters in Temptation of the Force aren't paying enough attention, I mean, that book,
true.
The Stormwall full on comes down for a cup of coffee. So, maybe, I don't know, maybe this is set before still thinking this is set before that. So, I mean, I'm curious again, Iriadu, that's the thing with High Republic. It's all interconnected. How does this affect the Adrens and their base on Iriadu? And whenever Insider comes out, whenever I get my Insider issue, different, all these different questions that this raises in a good way. And so it was a fun, exciting thing. Zid being along for the ride, similar to in High Republic 10, we'll get to with the Yakombi girl. She's along for the ride as well. They're just letting kids get in harm's way. It's kind of, again, I guess that's kind of a High Republic thing as well. But yeah, I thought this was, again, another solid, exciting issue that moves the story forward, and enjoyed reading it. Drawing action is always a challenge, as we'll get to with Inquisitors, I think. But Harvey, LeBeau, and Elizabeth had a great job doing what you do, and Michael, of course. So looking forward to how this one keeps going. Again, number 9 comes out in a few weeks, and so not too far from now. So moving right along. Let me let it clip. That's kind of all I have for this book.
Okay,
what did you think of High Republic Adventures number 8?
Yeah, I share the same sentiment. Like, there wasn't as much for me to dig into this one as prior issues. I always talk about how each one of these comes out every month, and I'm, first of all, trying to remember what happened last month. Me and Dominic were talking about this at the convention. It's like some of these comics are just like, so much happens, and you're like, wait, what happened last month? You know, but cool things I want to point out, because I have some problems with this one. This one's not flawless for me. First of all, I like the idea that these bracelets are like organic or something. Like, I got that sense like they're from the Tarkins, which is a really cool like little tidbit lore right there. But they like kind of embrace each other, like the different bracelets. I thought that was such a cool way to represent a union, and it just adds that little Star Warsy kind of flair to it all. So I really like that. But you know, there's some things I really like Harvey Talbell as an artist, but I feel like some things I had to like look back at like 2 or 3 times to like understand the action, because as great as the detail is, I feel like there's like way too much detail in some of these, and the colors, the way they are, it's hard for me to follow it sometimes. I did not know what was happening when it came to what Court Farzala were doing, because at one point they're like falling through the sky, and it's hard to tell like where they are. Like I couldn't perceive where they were, and then they're in a ship all of a sudden. So I had to like go back and like, oh, it looks like they jumped onto a moving dial ship, hijacked the ship, but doesn't show you actually like it doesn't show you them knocking the guy out or anything. Like, next thing you know, they're in a ship. And then they're saving people jumping from another ship. So for me, I definitely got lost in the action, which is really unfortunate, because I feel like if they would have just maybe had another 2 or 3 panels to like depict the action a little bit clearer, I wouldn't have had those issues. Another issue I had was with the whole Crix Camerat pacing of the story. It just felt so disjointed from what was happening. It's almost like those stories are just like, I don't know if something could have maybe less cutting back, maybe just like have half the book one story, half the book the other story, because it just felt off to me. I don't know if you felt that, but
I mean, I can see what you're saying. I didn't feel that. I felt it was good, almost interludes to the main story over Brie Frang. Although that is Ariada. That's an Ariada, right? Or near Ariada. Yeah, it's the. I mean, again, the issue, not the issue. I don't know. The question with the Crick story for me is, you know, he's kind of adopting Nihil tactics, Nihil demeanor, but he literally puts the mask on because he's in the storm. He's in the gaze, and you never know what will happen there. And he runs into Thaya Fair, and clearly she knows, and her bodyguard guy knows that what Crix is doing there. So for Crix to be able to actually weasel his way out of it is interesting, that he is able to be a little successful. I think he gets captured at the end, but yeah, it does seem like a different story. I will give you that. It seems like, you know, this thing started it in Crash Landing, where I guess Crash and Zvino rescue him, or Crash rescues him, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna assassinate Markian. Okay, why not? And so yeah, they haven't, like, Crix hasn't had much to Crix hasn't actually encountered Zine yet in this at all. And they are, so but what they are doing, they're kind of building up to that too, right? Like, we know Crix has this horrible crush on her. They were childhood friends, and that's what they're building upon. I guess we kind of have to have that in mind, but maybe they could do a little more to remind us. I think the Supreme Chancellor comment does help remind us. Oh yeah, he's out to lunch here. To think he can go in and assassinate Markian, go into the gaze and stuff. But that being said, it is kind of unhinged wild card that might actually do some damage. I
love the humor that DJO injected into the one moment where you have Crix like pretending that he he had nothing to do with any of them setting up the assassins. And the Thigh Affair was like, oh, what? Those people that I killed and threw their heads back to you or something like that? I was laughing out loud because that was a great comedic bit right there. It was good. Yeah, good execution on that. I gotta give him that.
The Nihil definitely know how to banter. I'll say that. And this is more Nihil banter. I mean, we see it with in Temptation of the Force with the General Vice and
her.
But here we're seeing again the middle managers bantering as well and picking that up. And I mean the Nihil, it's always a question about the Nihil, right? We'll get to this also in High Republic 10 is how can they keep going with such loose organization and in Temptation where Markian, and this came up in Adventures 8, right? Thigh Affair, she's on the other line from a call from Markian saying, she asks him, where are you? What are you doing? What's going on? People are asking where you are. Just lie to them. I don't care. Just lie. So she's trying to deal with all that, the minutia of some chronology or whatever, timetable. Yeah, like how well can the Nihil succeed when they're so disorganized? There is an internal organized logic. That's of course what Gira Staros is trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
But
make them legit,
make them legit, make them more organized and on the ball. Yeah, I guess they're kind of able to move along and figure it out. But especially after now they're sort of structured along the same kind of Tempest strike thing. But my point here is I wonder if Crix is that kind of wild card chaos agent. That what happens when you throw chaos into chaos?
Kind of like Axel Greylark.
Yeah. The chaos, exactly. And that was before they were that chaotic, but the mother certainly was all my chaos. Yeah, that's true. I'd like to see him come back. That'd be interesting. Speaking of which, spoiler for Temptation, of course, Marta in that book is fantastic.
Oh, isn't that so cool? How she's just haunting him?
Yeah.
That's exactly what I wanted to see from The Rise of Skywalker. I thought we were going to get Luke Skywalker haunting a Ben Solo. How great would that? They were telegraphing that. I was like, come on.
I think that's all I've got for
that's
this
all
book.
I got too.
Sprawled around. So let's keep sprawling into the High Republic then. Keep going. I think I see a comic first off. Just a little bit of comic. Speaking of High Republic, definitely into Jedi Survivor. That's one thing I forgot to mention. Both these books. Thankfully, sticking with the branding here. Doing what's right. I don't know if I got that. Can see that.
Yeah,
including this one, kind of merging Acolyte branding and High Republic branding, just with the little design there. So, it's good for you. High Republic. It's definitely expanded beyond the publishing initiative. Of course, Acolyte's the biggest way, but Survivor was a good.
That was awesome. I loved, as a huge, Jedi fan, it was so cool to see how much they integrate with the High Republic, talking about the emergences on Kobo's moon and hearing about Opa Rancisis and these audio logs and hearing about these marauders, the Nihil, and the people trying to get away. Then you have Dagon Gera, who's this fallen Jedi, and bleeding lightsabers and everything else. It was so High Republic. And I got good news for you, Brandon, because apparently Outlaws is going to have High Republic stuff in it. So if you're planning on picking that up, I know at least very much you're going to be able to explore a High Republic cruiser that has been downed. Right. So it's great to see all mediums of Star Wars fully in incorporating this. Now it's just, all right, what's the first movie we're going to see that's going to have it? Yeah. Are we going to see a reference in Mandalorian Grogu, maybe? That'd be cool.
I think more likely the Rey film. I can see in Rey.
Yeah.
Be like, she's looking back. Oh, yeah, this is what they did then. But
But just think about it.
Yeah.
The High Republic is the era of the stomping ground for Plagueis. We could say that now.
True.
That now when people think of Plagueis, they'll be like, where was he? Oh, he was in the High Republic. People are gonna be like, what? I have to read the High Republic now to know about Plagueis.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's such a good selling point from Lucasfilm to put him in there to get more people to read it.
I mean, and Leslie, she brought the cat out of the bag. She pulled the cat out of the bag that to tie it so much into. We'll get to that in a bit with the San Diego thing, but to tie it so much into the show, into the publishing initiative, more than any other Star Wars, any other screen story we've gotten so far ever. Okay, speaking of paper, let's get to this.
There we go. Back to this again.
10 of 10, for at least for now. Written by Kevin Scott, art by Jim Toe, colors by Jim Campbell, and cover by Philip J. Noto. I don't know if that's his middle name, but Phil Noto. All right, Jedi Lost and Jedi Found, the team shattering, I guess, finale of the current blistering run, a choice given and a decision made with terrifying consequences. I don't quite know what they're referring to in that, but anyway, I'll throw this to you, Chris. High Republic 10 of 10. What'd you think?
Well, spoilers, I already do that. Keeve Trennis and the transition skier and Lorna D already survived thanks to the San Diego Comic-Con panel.
Right.
So going into this, I was like, there's not much stakes in this story. We're going to see these guys all get away, and they surely do. And, as far as the issue itself, it was fine. It was serviceable for me. I mean, we had the action. I think I would have called it last time we talked about it. Well, Lorna D is not truly dead in that explosion. It would have made it more dramatic if she was. And same thing with Tarek. Oh, yeah, he just simply cut himself off from his brother, his twin. And, there was interesting things with that, though. It's like, what does that say about the characters that were Force Bond twins since the beginning of the High Republic, going back to Phase 1, inseparable? And we've seen the strife. We've seen the disagreements between the two to the point where now they could just safely say they are their own person. Literally, they're not biologically the same. They can, physically and then mentally emotionally separate from each other. So that was kind of one of the biggest moments for me. But another big moment was for all of what Skier was dealing with, a very Star Wars-y moment. It's just like you got this ultimate choice. It's like you pick this side over here, the bad guys, they're going to help you get the Force back. But if you do that, then guess what? Your friends are never going to take you back again. Right. You go the other way, you'll never be able to probably use the Force again, but it's the right thing to do. And he makes the right decision. And just the cool control of the Nameless at the end. And I was for sure thinking that Bulan would be dead. They captured him, so I'm very curious to see the outlook of that and ramifications of having one of the triarchs of the Nihil leadership under command, all the secrets, everything that the Republic is able to gain. Maybe they'll find a way into the occlusion zone safely and consistently now because they have him, and now they'll be able to maybe control the Nameless, be able to destroy them at their source. Maybe like there's a lot of big kind of breadcrumbs and different things to think about now. There was big swings in here.
Yeah.
And I guess we'll talk more about like the overall scope of the 10 issue series, but that's just my overall thoughts of, this was kind of a predictable ip It wasn't, earth shaking, ground shattering. It's par for the course. I'll just say like it could have done more things. Like it could have done more with the Yakombi child. Why have we gone half this series when we find out about her? We still don't know anything about her. Like stuff like that was like, I don't know if they cut this off too early. Maybe they should have just kept this running. I'm not really sure why they had to cut it off and restart it in February. So I have questions, but we can get into more of that for the overall scope of the series. But what do you think about this issue?
I mean, I thought as an issue, as a comic, was really gripping. Keeve really struggling with both the Nameless and with Skier. I mean, continuing to struggle with, can she be her own person in the sense of be her own master in a way, literally, while going to save Skier and hoping, still caring about that attachment, which is always a rating temptation of the Force. Is all about attachments for Jedi, and with Jedi, that's always a tricky thing. Attachment to her former master has being something that's driven her this entire, all the way to since phase 1, the phase 1 comics. And so for that to really seemingly, well, it did come to a head, and it came to a head in, that she provokes this choice in Skier. And Skier, this bargain, he has to bargain one or the other, and he's willing to accept losing the Force in order to maintain his connection to his friends, his people who actually care. Which is, oddly enough, the thing I thought about there is, well, that's what the Force really wants anyways. So whether or not whether or not he can connect to the Force again, that is its own reward. That is, in Star Wars, definitely a reward that the Force will bring, is connection. And by reward, I don't necessarily mean just a gold medal, gold star like the Olympics. I mean the moving towards the light, and circumstances moving towards the light, and that's always those attachments, those connections, not just attachments but connections, being the way that the story moves forward and the way characters move forward. So we do see a major shift with Skier in this, I think, because he's been like all over the place in these last 10 issues, again going back to phase 1. Just being a Trandoshan Jedi, what does that mean? We see it. We actually, Kevin Scott, to his credit, has really explored the complexities of what, and the difficulty of being a Trandoshan Jedi, the species that is bred to hunt, bred to be violent and predatory, and straight up to other sentient beings, evil, right? The species that has this planet where they drop Wookiees in to go ham on, and Jedi Padawans, right? In the Clone Wars, this is Bosk, right? What if Bosk were a Jedi trying to seek the light? And he even looks like him a little bit, and he's a different character for sure, but it's still that complexity there. So really, kind of like I keep talking about with Vader and Luke, it takes Keeve to pull him back to the light here in a profound way. That Bulan kind of tempted with darkness, and it was really darkness. It wasn't the Force. It's the dark side, because it's control and mastery over the Force, like we see with Darth Plagueis, for example. And so again, really, this issue really brought all that to, I would say, a satisfying conclusion in that sense. There are things that didn't, right? I agree with you. Again, with the Ukombi child, everything, that Lorna, of course, Lorna survives because we have another audio drama all about her. Of course, Skier survives. Yeah, he's on the cover of that comic book that but and of course, I mean, I guess Tarek was the real question. I thought he might have been. I thought it might have been a goner, or they might have been a goner. But there's another connection. I'm really glad again they have this branding, because I immediately thought of Osha and May immediately. And everything Osha wants is to be her own person. And say, I want to be separate, and everything May, of course, wants as kids, when they're kids, is no, we got to be together, or one person, always one but never two, whatever the nursery rhyme or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And there, Tarek and Sarah, show a different. This is the before image, right? Tarek and Sarah can say, I mean, I don't know how Sarah ultimately reacts to this, and we will see how they react to it. But maybe there's this more of this understanding and more acceptance of that, or finding a way to for them to be siblings, be connected, and maintain a form of connection while also respecting difference and personhood. So that, and then at the end, another huge. I do think this was earth shattering, or planet shattering, of course, on shattering. For Bulan to be captured, that is a huge deal, right? As you're getting at, he is the mastermind behind what is, or not the mastermind, the one who has spent most of the time trying to manipulate and control what is the greatest threat to the Jedi, the Nameless. Now, of course, the Blight, I think, is going to take over as a bigger threat. But yeah, for that, again, another piece, major piece in the solution to the Nameless is there. I think, to the question, I've said this before, I think what happened with this run is Cavan was plotting it out, and having this audiobook in mind and saying, okay, I think issues 11 and 12 need to form maybe the first act of this audio play instead. Maybe if partly to say, end this on a bit of a cliffhanger, give people a tease to actually want to go and listen to this thing. Of course, we would have listened to it anyway.
Yeah,
it's us, but not everybody would. Not every comic reader might go into Audible and say, I'm going to listen to this audio play or get the script. And so there's that part of it. But also, I do think it's making me think that, yeah, it's going to be about Lorna, and I think a lot about the Akombi girl, frankly. The reason they left that, because you see that hug. She comes over, and gives Lorna this hug. That's another younger character tugging a grizzled older character to the light, and I think that's what I suspect is going to be a big part of this story. Also, I mean, the tease for that audio play is something big happens in this issue that has implications for that. I think it is Boolin's capture. And part of the reason of that is, interestingly,
I didn't read the synopsis.
I read something about that, but the first audio play about Lorna, she's captured by the Republic. She's a Tempest Runner who's being captured by the Republic. Here's Bulan, who's one of the Triarchs, being captured by the Republic. So, and then Lorna has to remember her way through that. So, some symmetry there. That Cavan, as we're doing, Cavan, of course, wrote the first audio play as well. So, again, that we're talking about the larger things. I thought it was, again, a moving issue, really well paced and well put together. Again, Jim Toe and Jim Campbell, really drawing us in, not necessarily the most photoreal style. Of course, none of these characters show up on screen yet, so who knows yet. that might change in a minute with Kilnaka. We'll get that one, but it really engrossing, engaging. When you I say this about Charles Soule a lot. When you're reading a comic, but you kind of forget you're reading a comic, you're just gripped by the story. That's when it's a good one. So, that's kind of my thoughts on that. And Chris, I'll turn to you for High Republic Phase 3 as a whole. It starts on this other planet where they, I forget how they get there. I think they're looking for Skier. He's been captured. I mean, it starts with Skier being captured, finishes with Skier being captured. Running into this character who can, I think the Children of the Storm, Child of the Storm, get into their heads. The Kiev Trennis story, Master Kiev Trennis story. What do you think of High Republic Phase 3 as a whole?
I mean, sadly enough, I just feel kind of mixed about it. I feel ambivalent. I feel like it just happened. Like I'm murky on a lot of the events because I just don't think they were impactful enough as they were with the High Republic adventures so far. And that's kind of how I definitely enjoyed the High Republic adventures more in Phase 1 as well than the High Republic Marvel comic. And I'm seeing that a lot more here. And it's just, I don't know what the ultimate direction was for this story. I hate to say it, but it's just like, what is the thesis statement out of this, would you say? Because I'm having a trouble. What was essentially the point of the story? It just seems like it was like a lot of action back and forth. Like, Skier, like we've seen a lot of this already. I feel like with the whole thing with Skier being like captured and goes insane, then they get him back, then he does something heroic. Like we've seen this time and time again. So it just felt like deja vu a lot of the times.
By thesis, do you mean the theme or do you mean the connection?
Like the idea, like the whole, like when the selling point, like when Cavan Scott pitched this 10-issue run,
Yeah.
What was he trying to tell? What was the story he was trying to tell?
I mean, I think part of this is I think it might be a casualty of two things. First of all, our expectations that every High Republic thing really does connect to the wider story, and we're not until the end here, until the Bulan's capture, we didn't know. We couldn't really see that. We got Tesseract there. That was fun. That connects.
Yeah, Tesseract was cool.
Yeah. But also, a casualty to what we know ends up with Kyiv, and what that means just as a statement on the Jedi of this era. So, yeah, maybe it's almost like this whole thing is a prequel to what happens because I think, moving ahead, the run that starts in February, I don't know if it's called number 1 or number 11. That's going to be the departure of Kyiv.
Well, they're billing it as Fear of the Jedi, or at least that's like the working title. So I imagine it's going to be another number 1, but
yeah. So I do get what you're saying in terms of, what's even the theme of the idea. And it's not unique to this. It's just, again, the whole Star Wars thing of connections can bring people to the light and keep people in the light. Keep people are key to our survival. But that's the theme of Star Wars. So you can say if that's good or bad, I don't know. But as a gripping, well-paced story, I enjoyed it. I'll say that. I especially this last arc about with Bulan and everything, and anything with Bulan is going to feel more connected to the wider story, of course. But it was more of a character exploration than the first arc with on that planet trying to find Skier. So it picked up. I'm not saying I disliked it. I definitely enjoyed it, but yeah, I do get what you're saying. Is just very moving in, action heavy. Again, the whole Skier question, that was an interesting character story, but we need more. I think we need more Kyiv characterization.
Yeah,
in this is what it is, because she's supposed to be the main character.
Yeah, you're right. I just didn't connect with her enough in this either. She's supposed to be the main character, so I think that's maybe one of the missing links. Talking through it now, that felt like it just didn't get me as the first one did.
I'll say this: we got in this issue. We got this whole, Kyiv being Master Kyiv, and she can actually step out. I remember her short story by Kevin in Tales of Light and Life.
Oh yeah,
that was tremendous. She jumps in and saves the day, and that's our first look at Master Kyiv Fennis. And it was just this ownership of this woman, formidable. Yeah, was Kyiv that formidable in this? I don't know. And that's the thing, is this was a bit more of an ensemble piece. I will say, Lorna continues to be interesting. Maybe that's just it. Kyiv wasn't the more interesting. It was Skier and Lorna were the more interesting.
Yeah. Lorna definitely took the stage for me in this one, center stage.
So, and maybe you could argue she's the main character in this. I don't know. There's a reason she's getting like the kind of the interlude now that we know that's the interlude is the audio play all about her. I'm looking forward to hearing her very French accent. Lorna D.
Yeah, that's right.
So all that to say, right? I'm actually looking this comic to me has set up this audio play, and I'm looking forward to this audio play to see. And maybe
it definitely has high stakes now. Yeah, I could see it going terribly wrong. Like they're on their way to rescue to bringing him to Coruscant, and they get ambushed by some Nihil, and he gets free. I could see that's how it's gonna go. Like the first chapter.
Yeah. Do we have a cast yet? I don't know if we have a cast.
Nope.
Or our characters. So that might give a clue. Like if Gira's in that, for example, because she's kind of back and forth to Coruscant. If she kind of, I don't know. has a role in this. Again, that's the wonderful thing about High Republic is anyone can come in. Anyone's fair game for this.
Yeah.
But it'll definitely be focused on Lorna, on Kiev, on Skier, I believe. Maybe I don't know what Skier is. Skier on the cover.
Yes.
I remember. Yeah. So, there we go. Yeah, because again, that first one, phase 1, that audio play was also tremendous. So, just a note. Well, I guess, do you have any last thoughts on this one? So just a note. I mentioned the audio play. It's not the finale to this comic, but it's certainly a continuation of this comic. So, where the plan is when that comes out in December, probably to get Joel on here, and the three of us will review it as a Tractor Beam episode, because it's part of the comic story. It's issue 10 point whatever. There we go. All right, we got a few more comments here. You're definitely getting Outlaws. Looking for Jedi 3.
Oh, nice.
If you would like to watch all of our reviews of the Acolyte here on the Star Wars Underworld YouTube channel, check out the Iron Cannon, and then yes, we've done a little bit of talk on the Acolyte here on Tractor Beam every week. This is great. This is a great thought. This is the point. Get into the novels, get into the books, especially the we're going to talk about that with San Diego.
When is the other manga that's coming out this month as well? We got to review that.
Yeah, this coming out soon. Yeah,
I'm going to look that up right now. I think it's out maybe next week or the week after.
Yeah, so we'll definitely
forget the name of it. I don't even know what to look up.
They're all called Edge of Balance, right?
Yeah, that would be it.
Precedent something, or is it volume 3? We're looking this up right now. That comes out on Tuesday. Volume 3 comes out on Tuesday. What do you know? All right.
Crap! I got to put my pre-order in. I completely forgot about it.
I don't know if will we have time to finish it by Wednesday is another question, but we'll play that.
I usually can read those in like 20 minutes. They don't have a lot of words, and it's usually like it's like an oversized comic book essentially.
It is pretty. They do go pretty quick. So yeah, I gotta make sure I got that. And then there's the young reader coming out. So good old High Republic. So we will get into the stuff in a bit. And then great comment question here from seeing the podcast. Usually listen to the Underworld, because I've been really off the ball. I haven't actually put any of these audios, but thank you. Yes. Thank you. Yes, we know we stand the Acolyte. We're fans of the Acolyte. And so are the folks on the flagship. So definitely grateful for that comment there, Jillian. Okay, let's one more book to talk about. Going further ahead in the timeline, getting out of High Republic. Not that I ever leave the High Republic. It's Inquisitors #2, written by Rodney Barnes, art by Ramon Rosanas, colors by Guru EFX, cover by Nick Bradshaw and Niraj Menon. Darth Vader sends fifth brother on a mission to kill a Jedi legend. The Emperor has had most of the Jedi exterminated after the events of Order 66. Some have escaped. The Inquisitors are charged with hunting the survivors down. But there is one, a knight named Tensu Run, who is on Darth Vader's most wanted list. Who is Tensu Run? What threat does he pose to the Dark Lord? I feel like this is the description for number 1, but that's okay. Still moves along. This one really, the thing that really stands out to me in this is how he's tempted by the dark side. How Tensu is tempted by the dark side. Because, just like Jedi Survivor and Fallen Order, oh my gosh, my favorite comic book story, and probably tied for my favorite Legends story, period. My favorite Legends comic, tied for my favorite Legends story is Dark Times. And because it reflects, okay, what does it mean to be a Jedi now that the Order is gone? What does it mean to hold to Jedi ideals now that the Order is gone? Now that this comic really explores this from in a flashback, Tensu's talking to his master. What does it mean to try and hold to ideals when those ideals keep getting a lot of innocent people killed because the Empire is just that ruthless in hunting people down and taking people out who harbor Jedi? So this was really fascinating, and they really, Rodney Barnes and them really put their blasters where their mouth is, put their other sprite where their mouth is, and have him, have Tensu, he's there's these marauders or just pirates intercepting him, the squadron, and he has to calculate. Kind of Skier has to calculate. He makes it the other calculation. He calculates, either I try and negotiate here or fly away, then these guys tell the Empire my location and maybe put the people I'm trying to protect at risk. So he shoots them all. It's similar then to, it's almost is as if Luthen was a Jedi, but a little further back, a little further removed, and that he still has his soul, but that was a real dark moment, and he's really, I'm really thrilled that Tensu is asking the story about how Tensu is asking these questions, and this is really standing out. And I really feel brand new character. Master's a brand new character. We've seen none of these folks before. We're in already, and this book is kind of come out of nowhere. Like, well, what are we getting this story for now? Doesn't matter.
I love it.
we're in. I'm enjoying it. And then the way, again, really well paced. I do think that showdown with the Inquisitor, some of it, kind of the pacing of the action, it felt a little like, if I want it to feel like it's animated, and this felt like, why is he standing like that? Why not? But at some moments, but other moments, it was, especially with the other sprite in space, that was really shooting. What's going on? Like, well,
the poor sloth guy, man. Sloth pilot, just
So, one thing I forgot to mention with High Republic Adventures, Crix's contact on the gaze.
Doug.
That was fun. Anyway, pretty cool reference. Anyways, so again, this was fascinating, and then because this book is called Inquisitors, and so you think, we are getting into the inner workings, how the Grand Inquisitor, he has a good plan, and so Vader's keeping him alive, even though he failed to get this Jedi. Sending the fifth brother in, and you get into his mind and his memory, and how he had to kill his master to make good on the promise of Order 66, and how he's doubting his mission for a second. It's asking questions of the Inquisitors. They're not all or nothing either. I think in the beginning of Jedi Survivor, or at the end of Jedi Fallen Order, right? Second sister, she takes her mask off and she turns, and the Vader just immediately, because he's right there. But so it's really setting up two interesting character stories. Now we know the fifth brother stays dark. We know what happens. So the stakes there are not quite there, but I'm not usually worried about that. Like with High Republic 10, it's okay. So we know these characters come out, but how do they get there along the way? And that's a lot of what comics do, Star Wars comics do, is filling in the space of telling that story. So we have the story of the Inquisitors, and how at the beginning, with Charles Soule's comic, they're also kind of less than formidable. Here, they're less than formidable a little bit, kind of wavering, both in terms of the lack of ability to get this Jedi, although they don't do too great with Kanan or Ezra either. But this one, he really, fifth brother really has doubts. It's almost like it's too late for me. So I hope we see the fifth brother again in more issues. But really, intriguing use of character in this, an intriguing way it's getting into it. This could have been just a straight up lightsaber action story, but Rodney Barnes is really leaning into the samurai themes, right? Of Tensu Run he's still alive. I want you to survive, so you can go back to your master and say Tensu Run is still alive. It really does have samurai vibes. We just mentioned Edge of Balance. I wonder, and I have no idea, I'm not an authority on this at all, if this would have been even more effective as a manga. Or if this is kind of setting this up, because yeah, I mean, between Edge of Balance and this, I mean, we why not have more Star Wars manga? So this is definitely bringing in the samurai feel. Not that I know much about samurai or manga, but I really enjoyed that moment at the end, especially where again, formidable, but also starting to happen to the dark side here. Tensu, killing these pirates, and then also saying, I'm gonna keep you alive.
Yep.
So you can go face Vader's wrath.
Yeah.
It would be more merciful for him to kill him. But of course we know he shows up in Rebels and Kenobi. So there's that. But that also makes it more interesting to know, he had doubts before. And how does he overcome those doubts to commit to the dark side? Good story. It's an interesting story question, kind of like we saw with Osha. Similar there. So so that's my thoughts on Inquisitors 2. That's basically all I have for that. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I like how we're breaking down now that we have issue 2. We see the grand plan by the creative team here to, from my knowledge, every issue they're going to focus on an Inquisitor, or in the next issue, a couple of Inquisitors, to see how they fare against Tensu runs. The first issue is all about Grand Inquisitor. We see the ramifications of that in this issue. So it's not like they're anthology issues. Like, they are all well connected to each other, but this does a great job at showing the inner workings of the Inquisitorius, the different people, the different Inquisitors, how they differ from one another, the command structure. So Rodney Barnes, having orchestrated this, had done a great job of researching the hierarchy of all this. And of course, you got Vader at the top, and I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see the Emperor by the end of all this, and because he's the top dog in the end. Yeah. But simple little things here, like a Viper probe droid, and how the Viper probe droid is relaying, the holocom of Vader, and how the Viper probe droid is like talking to the fifth brother. I thought it was cool. We never really, in all the Star Wars stories, have gotten like a Viper droid companion of a character that, there's always the droid with the personality, but we've never seen a Viper droid with a personality at all. So that was really cool for me, and striking that, hey, this is something new for the lore. We get to see one of these droids actually doing something rather than just being like a surveyor or something of an environment. And just everything with the flashback between like you mentioned, the Master and Tensu Run, and echo all the sentiments you had of such a great job with displaying that this is more of like this is not a white knight character. This guy Tensu Run he's trying his best, but he's human. He's making brash decisions that maybe aren't the best in that moment, but he acts off of instinct, I feel like, and it's going to get him in the end with some of this revenge notion he has.
Right.
But the fifth brother also losing an arm, I never realized that he actually had an artificial arm. That was news to me, but that was pretty cool as well, just seeing how that played out. But yeah, overall, I would not like to see this as a manga, simply because I feel like this feels like such like a part of the Darth Vader Charles Soule run. The artwork on this just feels similar to Giuseppe Camicoli and the art team there, like the colors, the way they pop, the way things drawn, it really feels like almost a sequel in a way to that series, and I'm really liking how that fits together. So I'd rather have color and the way it looks now, because they go hand in hand. So this continues to be like my favorite comic run concurrently right now with the Star Wars comics. I really feel like it has a lot to say. As you said, it's exploring a time of the dark times, and there's so much freedom that has been given with these new characters and all. And then it's great. It's like, why are we getting this now? it's a good thing that there is no reason. I like when Lucasfilm gives these creatives like, hey, what kind of Star Wars story you want to do? Oh, I want to do an Inquisitor one. Oh, cool. All right, just do it. We don't see enough of that. We are getting that, as we'll get into it with the San Diego Comic-Con news with some books and stuff coming out. But it is still nice and refreshing to see a relatively, I wouldn't say new writer to Star Wars, because we found that he did do Lando Double or Nothing, but going from an adaptation where he is like severely cramped with what he could do to having so much legroom now to be able to be like, hey, I'm just going to make this really cool Inquisitor story. Like, bravo, man. You're doing a great job with it.
Yeah. Again, it does. Yeah. Well, maybe bridging the gap in a way. Like, I don't think it's set probably concurrently with the Vader comic, but yeah, I do see what you mean. The thing with manga, it doesn't have color. Is there a way of having more? I don't know. I'm trying to think what I mean by that. Could it have had more of an Eastern style, or more play up the Eastern influence in the art style? Because the art style, it was not the art style, but some moments in the art were kind of wonky to me. So maybe that's where that idea comes from. But the story itself, is solid and it's sound. It's only a 4-issue run. Maybe just like Django, just like Mace Windu, there's the idea of it going longer. Here's hoping. Off to a good start. We're probably going to see this guy somewhere. I mean, well, here's just a mind-blowing.
If he survives, I mean, I doubt it, but
or what if he joins the Inquisitors?
Oh my gosh, that would be amazing.
If that's where this is going, because he's going down the dark path here, dude.
Yeah, you might be onto something.
Do we?
Man,
do we know all the Inquisitors? Like all the ones?
No, definitely not. They can make up any further number or two. I mean, 2. We have second sister.
Yeah.
Third sister. We don't have a fourth something.
Yeah. Let's see, fourth brother. Star Wars. No, there's, I don't know. No, maybe not. No, it's fourth brother. Never mind. It's
eighth
Star Wars
brother.
Rebels, yeah, maybe. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just wondering if that's kind of the thing, because for a story called Inquisitors, is a really interesting Jedi character in this. So, just a thought.
Oh wait, the fourth sister is from Obi-Wan, isn't she?
Maybe, I don't know. That's okay.
Yeah.
Whatever. They can have the 34th.
Exactly. They could keep going.
The 42nd brother. And just randomly say, hey, but there's only 5 of us. Well, you'll be the 42nd brother, because that's the thing. They mixed up the numbers to, I think, is that from Rebels or is that from somewhere from Vader? They mixed up the numbers just to mess with their own egos. Or Vader would do that to mess with their egos. I'd be interesting to see Palpatine in this, because we don't see him deal with the Inquisitors much. Like, he doesn't really care that they exist. All he cares about is if the Jedi are exterminated. And so if Vader has this tool at his disposal, it'd be interesting to see what Palpatine's response to the presence of this tool. Because, I mean, part of it, they're kind of acolyte-y. There could be, something Vader uses to overthrow Palpatine eventually. Maybe that was part of the plan. I don't know. I mean, that ends up being Luke, of course, is the idea. But yeah, maybe Tensu Run, especially. Who knows if he's on his most wanted list? Maybe because he's a Jedi who survived Order 66. Maybe he's targeted. I don't know. We'll see. We won't have too long to find out. Probably in October, issue number 4. Do you have any last thoughts on this one?
Nope.
All right. Star Wars at San Diego Comic-Con.
There we go.
Now, first off, I'll say I didn't list all the reveals, all the news. I could bring up my Iron Cannon notes if I wanted to. I don't really want to. But basically, because I mean, we've talked about this on Iron Cannon. You've talked about this on Under Transmissions. First off, though, what I haven't asked you were in the room. What was the buzz? What was it like to be in this room where, there was Outlaws talk, but this was a lot of book stuff, a lot of book talk, a lot of look how much the Acolyte is connected to these novels. What was the feeling like?
It was cool because it was in Ballroom 20, which is the second largest room at Comic-Con next to Hall H. This thing held, it was full capacity, almost 5,000 fans in this room waiting to hear about Star Wars comics. I was like, oh, I turned around in my seat. I was like, yeah, this entire room is full of just Star Wars comic fans. This is next level. This is so neat. And they start off the panel by showing like this epic Star Wars trailer on the screen. I'm like, whoa, we've never gotten anything to this caliber with celebrating books and comics. This is amazing. And of course, they showed like Outlaws footage and stuff. But yeah, so from that point on, I knew there was something special here. And the stuff with the moderator. I mean, come on, we had
Patton Oswalt.
He was leaning so much into it, like with the comedy. It was so fantastic. He was making jokes that like unannounced YA novel. Like, why would they do that? Or not final artwork. Like, what the hell? This is about arts. Like, how do you not like? It was great because he was calling the BS as he came across it. I just loved the commentary. But learned some great insights from Outlaws. Very excited to be playing that in about 3 weeks' time. Seeing just so much about the comics. There was not as much about the comics. We learned a lot more about books, which was cool. We're getting those Acolyte tie-ins with Vernestra Rowe and with the different other characters, Yord and what's her face.
Jackie.
Oh yes, but
we saw
Jackie, but we got this. So that was the big reveal for the comics, at least, was the idea that we are getting Kevin Scott to do one more round. Now I'm curious because we got a lot of this like post High Republic content. I'm wondering if this is going to end up like, because why would you start up a run with like 3 months until it ends? Because I assume that Trials of the Jedi is going to be the capper on all of that, and that's going to be out, I think, in May. So you're telling me you're going to do an ongoing comic that is going to run for potentially 3 or 4 months and then be done? Like, that doesn't make sense. So I'm assuming that this is going to be almost like a pseudo epilogue, if you will, of the fall of Keeve Trennis. They didn't say that or anything, but that's what I'm guessing the story is going to be. Because the fact that we got Kelnaka in it as a Acolyte character in the later periods of the High Republic leads me to believe this is that story that we've been waiting for. So maybe we'll go through the end of this whatever epic battle with the Nihil, if there is one, which I'm assuming there will be like one big epic battle and it'll be finished. We'll get her perspective and maybe we'll see the fallout of the Jedi with this and how it affects them, because it is called Fear of the Jedi after all. So
like as in people are afraid of the Jedi. People are
no, I think it's like the Jedi, like their fear, because you even showed me that excerpt from that book. And they're like, yeah, this is the fear of the Jedi, and so I think it is going to be like, okay, the ramifications of the Nihil. This is going to be the pseudo epilogue of that time period going into what is the fate of Keeve Trennis after all this mayhem.
Did they say how many issues it would be?
No, but it's confirmed as an ongoing, so I would imagine it's at least like 8 issues.
So, I mean, that's almost an announcement to say the High Republic Publishing Initiative is going to go on a little bit. Yeah, I can see that being kind of an epilogue. I mean, you remember Eye of the Storm?
Yeah.
I mean, because, Fallen Star is really the finale.
Yep.
To Phase 1. Eye of the Storm is
definitely... Wait, no, it isn't. I mean, technically, Midnight Horizons, sort of from the books. That's. But I guess you're right. That's
all right.
Like
big novel, the big thing that happens.
True.
Changes everything. At least, symbolically, but as we've seen in Phase 3, the thing that they're all reacting to, right, is the fall of Starlight. That's what I mean, and so that Midnight Horizon and Midnight Horizon is also a novel, YA novel, but like Eye of the Storm is this epilogue comic book. Yeah, that Fear of the Jedi Could be. I mean, I could see it. Yeah, maybe 8 issues. Could be 4. Could still only be 4. February, March, April, May. But that's not an ongoing, so that's also confusing. But yeah. So that. What were the thoughts and feels about the reveals about the Vern novel?
Oh, fantastic. I wanted a book like this to bridge the gap, so to speak, and to give Vernestra Rowe a book. She is now the lead character of the High Republic. I think there is no doubt there. If you're going to pick out a character, a face for the High Republic, it's going to be her from now on.
She's been on screen, but
yeah, she's been on screen, and now she's getting her only, like, the only High Republic character to get a book like that. Just a solo book, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, she's gonna get her due. It's gonna be cool to see her get that whole adult novel by the same author that created her.
Justina
That's
Ireland,
very fitting. Justina Ireland was there to talk about it. Very fitting. And now she'll get the time she needs to really flesh those decisions out, because we could draw the lines and connect the dots of how she goes to this, young upstart Jedi Knight. But like, this book is going to be like definitive answer of like, how does she become so dogmatic and mysterious? What happened in between the Nihil conflict and stuff that's contemporary in the Acolytes? So that was cool. But yeah, it's great to see the Acolyte getting so much love there. And even Leslie, I don't know if you knew this, but Leslie Headland came on screen.
Yeah, she had the video Sing for Light and Life or something.
Yeah,
right?
I turned over to Dom and I said, dude, she's making an announcement right now. Get ready.
Yeah,
and it didn't happen. And I was like,
tomorrow.
Now,
that's what's coming tomorrow. It's coming tomorrow.
It's got to come tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah. I did find my notes from Iron Cannon. So yeah, I'll just run through everything here. So Wayseeker, that's Vern. Who hurt you, Vernestra? Who hurt you, Vern? 20 years before the Acolyte. So that comes out in May. And when does Trials of the Jedi come out? In April?
We don't have a date. We don't have a date. I am assuming May, because that's the other 2 books are coming out that month.
Yeah. Also, there's a certain little convention happening in April 2025. The Jordan Jecki novel coming out July. So the guidebooks to the Art of High Republic Volume 2 with the intro by Rebecca Henderson. That's I forget I didn't quite get when that's coming out. This is from the article on StarWars.com, but I just made notes out of it. And then also, the visual guide about the Acolyte by Pablo coming back to write stuff. The Phase 3 run, that's featuring Kelnaka, as we saw on the cover. And of course, the Kelnaka one shot that's going to connect to that, which is good because we don't do anything of him in the show. So that was one of the few. Oh, there's a few questions I have for the show.
Yeah, they made such a big deal. I feel bad for Eunice Watanamo, because they made such a big deal trotting him out on the stage of Celebration, like getting all the hype, and we barely see him fight, and it's like, oh,
yeah.
Anyway,
so and kind of my question about the audio play then. So the audio play, thinking almost a pause on Keith's story to focus and wrap up Lorna's, but now I'm thinking it's going to involve Bulan. And then the comic will deal with whatever happened in the audio play.
Yeah.
And hopefully, like you said, everything else happening in Galaxy. Hopefully, I mean, Phase 1 is Keeve and Avar dealing with the Drengir.
Mm-hmm.
The Drengir have finally made a believable, palatable comeback in Temptation of the Force.
Yes.
I actually, an enjoyable one.
Loved it. So ready for that to happen.
There are a few other covers on StarWars.com. So the Trials of the Jedi same coming out in spring. And I guess here's the question now is, do all these things even well I guess especially the tie-ins, and that's the big takeaway for me that I talked about on Iron Cannon as well, is first of all, Joel and I keep mentioning this. There's more tie-ins than anything on screen has gotten since Force Awakens, not since even The Last Jedi or Rise of Skywalker.
But they've been doing a good job. They've been doing a good job with video games. I will say that. Although I'm a little bit perturbed, we haven't gotten an Outlaws tie-in, but maybe we'll get one after the game comes out or something.
The comic for Fallen Order.
Then we got a novel for Jedi Survivor.
That's just one little thing, and then nothing from. But I mean, especially
Battlefront 2 got a novel.
Battlefront 2 got a novel, but I mean specifically like live action screen.
No, we got a Kira story for Solo.
Yeah.
Most Wanted by Ray Carson, I think.
Yeah, we did that. But
Rogue One, we got Catalyst.
So here's the thing: is those are all kind of before The Last Jedi. This is kind of like a bargain, but since Rise of Skywalker, and then especially. Nothing for Mandalorian, nothing for Book of Boba, nothing for Ahsoka.
Well, they were planning on Mandalorian, and then Gina Carano got fired, and they were probably going to make a book about her, and they're like, oh, wait, we can't do that anymore. And I think after that, they got scared, and they were like, we shouldn't make books because our actors could just become difficult, and then we can't do it anymore.
I think also because,
the secrecy.
The secrecy
is so unwarranted. We could do a whole podcast on that, but I won't go over that.
Secrecy, but also, I mean, the Resistance Reborn was a casualty of expectations of just having it couldn't have anything to do with the Rise of Skywalker because no one's gonna tell JJ what to do. I mean, that's the thing. That's the secrecy, right? Is you could give Rebecca Roanhorse the story and she could write something back into it. Here's the thing, though, is with the Acolyte, we have this publishing initiative, and we have this creative Leslie Headland who's explicitly saying, I am going to connect things. I am going to take this character and give her a huge role, really important role in this show. I was shocked at how important Vernestra was in the Acolyte. I thought she'd be 5-minute cameo for the fans. No, she's very and so all that to say, it makes sense. It feels good. It feels nice to see this connection that could be precisely because it doesn't have to happen. But to say that that Leslie. She's thought not just that she enjoys these stories as much as we do, but that she's thought through them and worked her way through them and roped her wife into them and say, hey, you're going to play this super important character. Oh, by the way, why don't you write this, Kristen or Lucasfilm, why don't you write this intro to this art book and continue to dive yourself into this character created by Justina Ireland. So, it's not just that we feel validated. It's that, she's done the work too. Leslie's really done the work of thinking through what would the implications of this story be 100 years later, knowing what's coming 100 years down the pipe. And like I'm calling it as a joke, but kind of getting there, almost backing myself into it. High Republic Phase 4, all this stuff around the Acolyte, and it isn't true. It isn't, and I'm not being that way, but it's so much, especially with all these other tie-ins, right? I joke.
You gotta tell me that they're gonna do probably a Plagueis book eventually.
Yeah.
Once season 2 is out. They'll be like, oh, by the way, the next, maybe even at Celebration this year, they'll announce something like that. I imagine the pop in that audience when they say there's a new Plagueis book about all of his origins or something. It's like, oh my goodness.
The time is right. I thought about this like a few years ago. And I don't know if it'll be a novel. It could be, they could just work it into the Acolyte. I don't know.
Sure.
In 2014, or in 2016, 2017, whenever, that was still too soon. The Lucino novel was so much beloved. I mean, I think the best thing they could possibly do is to say, hey, Lucino, can you adapt your novel into just a canon version? I don't know if they'll do that. They tend not to like to do that, but
yeah,
that would be the ideal. That would be the dream, because it's. I mean, like I said, tied for my Dark Times is tied for my favorite. Of course, Plagueis by James Luceno is everyone's favorite. Not everyone's favorite, but certainly mine. I can see something. I can see them doing something that. I mean that he's immune. He's lurking in the shadows, there. So there you go. Any other thoughts just on Star Wars presence at San Diego? The booth it didn't have any Outlaws sampler or anything, did it?
No, unfortunately, I was really crossing my fingers they would have playable demos. But I mean, I was happy to at least finally see the pavilion, because they have. It's not a booth; they call it a pavilion.
Sure, yeah.
I couldn't believe it when I seen it. It was literally like it was like Star Wars heaven, man. It was like the Star Wars props everywhere. I was like, oh my gosh, they'd even have like glass around this stuff. I could, if I really wanted to, like felt the fabric of Vernestra Rose outfit. The lightsaber hilts.
Diego, but
the lightsaber hilts were a glass, and they had all the concept art and beautiful, like a gallery. It was like beautiful all around there. I have a video of the whole booth on YouTube. I'll link at the end, but had that. Then even all the subsidiaries of Lucasfilm had their own proper Star Wars booths that were still connected. So you had, like Rock Love Jewelry, you had Fantasy Flight Games, the Star Wars Unlimited, you had Geeky Tikis, you had Hallmark, you had Roosevelt's, you had like the Shade Company that makes Star Wars sunglasses, like everything that had Star Wars licensing rights had their own specific Star Wars booths connected. It was madness. It was awesome though. It was so cool to see like that brand as the biggest presence at Comic-Con. Because they were really made there in 1976 when Lucas brought it there, and it's cool to see that San Diego still honors them as such a big presence that really made their thing pop. One thing that wasn't there, and I guess it makes sense now looking back, but it still should have been celebrated, was the Star Wars ongoing series. I actually was like, I was disappointed when the panel ended. I'm like looking, I'm like, there's 10 minutes left. Like, are they ever going to talk about the Star Wars comics? Because like, I'm sure a lot of people in this room would like to hear about what's happening with Luke, Han, and Leia and all these guys, and they didn't even mention it. So I was a little bit like, they made that as a thumbprint in a StarWars.com article like 2 days before. I was like, I got done dirty a little bit there. I would have loved to see somebody like doing a little bit more insight about what those are going to be about, which we got after the fact. We got plenty of information. So did you guys talk about those at all?
Yeah, a little bit, I think.
Oh, okay. I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited about them. I like the idea of the Battle of Jakku. I like how it's going to be like a truncated release. So like we're going to get like 2 or 3 issues in a single month. I like how we're getting I think we're getting 5 in the span of a month and a half, I think is what. Wow. That's great, because if you get those all in, this thing will be over by December, which means in January for the 10th anniversary, I think that's when we're going to get the big ongoing. Yeah. Is going to be like, okay, we're going like post Battle of Jakku now. Here's what's happening. Yeah. In the lead up to Mando. That's going to be glorious. So my dream of getting that announcement at New York Comic-Con. You're right. We'll probably get that now. I think. Solicits are out like 3 months behind whatever month that is. So there is a good chance that could happen. Yeah. So again, it's October. So we'll see. Although I gotta say, all your coverage and whatnot, I've gotten the bug. I kind of want to go to San Diego next year. It means I may not be able to go to New York, but that's okay. Yeah, I won't be able to go because I'm going to Japan, so I can't go both places, unfortunately. But I plan on going in 2027. So I know it sounds so far away. I mean, why don't they just merge Celebration San Diego? That would be monstrous. That would be terrible. That'd be a little monstrous. Oh my goodness. But I mean, San Diego is great because it really takes over every hotel. You walk in any hotel like the Hyatt or Hard Rock or Marriott or the Hilton, and they all have like their own like little panel rooms and stuff. It's massive, and you don't even need a a ticket for half these things. They have pirate ships parked out back that are serving beer all day. You got like these rooftop movies that are being screened. We walked into an early screening of The Walking Dead, and Norman Reedus walks right along and thing. I'm like, what the hell's happening? How did we end up here? This is like, I feel like a damn A-lister right now, A-list celebrity, like chilling here, watching this thing on a rooftop in his comfy chair with my peanut butter M&Ms and my Dr. Pepper. I'm like, this is the life.
And Norman Reedus is right there.
Yeah, I was like, what the hell? Oh man, it was. Yeah. I couldn't have had a better time, man. I really loved it. The weather was beautiful. Mm-hmm. Gaslamp Quarter is just as crazy as I always heard it would be at night. Just people everywhere. It feels like Las Vegas. Yeah. It's everything you could have wanted it to be. So yeah, I mean, definitely try to go next year. Like, it seems like Lucasfilm will probably have a panel like this caliber every year, because I think they put it in their article like the annual Lucasfilm presentation or something. So there's a good chance like you'll probably have the spectacle next year as well, because that was something that was cool.
Do I try and get into the MCU thing at Hall H? I probably don't want
to. No, don't even try.
Yeah.
Don't even try, because I walked past that line at 9:30 on Friday, and there was already a big ass line. Me and Ben Hart walked around like during the day for Hall H to see if we can get my girlfriend into the What We Do with the Shadows panel, and we gave up. We kept walking and walking, and the line just kept going. The line must have been a mile long. We're like, I looked at her, I was like, you could either wait in this line all day long, or you could actually like see stuff. And she's like, yeah, let's just say screw it. I was like, sorry, but like, there's
first time,
I was like, if we've been to it like 10 times, I'll wait in the line all day. That's fine. But no, I wanted to see
Hall H MCU panel. So
I know, a flying car, like that was nuts. It was funny because I was sitting in Little Italy, and I was having a bowl of fried diavolo pasta, and my co-host on Outer Rim Transmission, Ben, lives all the way in Ohio. I'm sitting there probably less than a mile away from where Robert Downey Jr. is. I get the news broken by him, who's like halfway across the country. I'm like, I found this out by you? I'm the one that's here. It's like
you're enjoying your food too much to be checking your phone, is what it is.
Yeah, no. I'll say is I know you're a foodie over there. You're gonna lose your mind. I was sending you some pictures, man. I had some good Italian, I had really good Mexican. I had even Hawaiian food. I had some really good pizza. I had some good burgers. It was like as much of a trip as it was for Comic-Con. It was a damn food adventure for me, man. I was like, oh, this is great.
I mean, I'm looking forward to that for New York. I'll say that.
We got to take you to Dinosaur Barbecue, man.
Not so much, not just Manhattan. I'm gonna venture out. Anyways, we've gone an hour and a half here. I'm gonna say releasing next week. I forgot to do that. Releasing next week.
Just Darth Vader issue number 49.
Ignore this. That's this year. That's this week. Vader 49, and then
Greg Pak and Raphael Ainko, I would imagine.
Just see with Warba and Sabe and everything happening with them, and then Edge of Balance. If we can finish Edge of Balance, if we can pick it up, Volume 3.
I'll probably finish it too. I pre-ordered as we were speaking, so it should be here on Tuesday by the time I get done work. So I could probably finish it Tuesday night.
We'll do our best to get that in, and then the next week is Ongoing 49 and High Republic 9 on 21st. I may have to do some Fan Expo prep that night, so we'll see what I end up doing, but we'll keep people apprised on the social medias. Definitely looking forward to that. Vader, like I said last week, really earning. Yes, the Luke being in two places at once can be confusing, but that Vader story is so good and so tied in with Return of the Jedi. And I do think the ongoing is setting things up for something with the Alderaan fleet in the New Republic. That's just my harebrained speculation. But that Vader 49, it's so good. It's 48. Earning this whole Luke being in two places at once thing. It's just so, clued into what's happening in Return of the Jedi that Luke is, of course, the main character in. So it makes sense that he's in this. So I don't mind it. Definitely looking forward to it. Yeah. I'm guessing you're looking forward to it too.
Yeah, I am. I like the idea of Luke interacting with his mother's handmaiden so closely, like getting that link.
What a moment. Yeah.
It's really cool. Seeing the double crossing of Sabe like using Warba as bait, but then Warba using her as bait. Like it was a lot of cool going back and forth of the subterfuge, which was really fun. But don't forget, next week we might also have some really cool Star Wars news in general to mention with D23 happening. I know Star Wars Underworld is going to have their boots on the ground, so pay attention to their socials, because I think Eastern, it's going to be like late our time. I think it's going to be like 10 p.m. our time or 9 p.m. our time when they're going to start the show. And I think it's like a 2 or 3 hour presentation, so I'm probably going to lose a little sleep for work the next day to just try to stay up to speed with everything.
Or should they live stream it? Just go on Disney.
You might as well, because guess what? They're going to be in a gigantic like Honda stadium.
The arena,
So how can they stop people just sitting there with their phones live streaming it? They're not going to have security that's going to be able to handle 40 or 60,000 people with their phones out.
Yeah. Probably going to be closer to 20,000. Would be my guess.
Okay.
Yeah. But still, or maybe more like 10,000, because it's a hockey rink. But I think
it's a hockey rink. I thought it was in a baseball arena.
Oh, that would be wild. It's a hockey rink. So,
okay.
But it's going to be set up as a theater, I think. But yeah, but still, just live stream it. Do the right thing. Come on. Anyway, they didn't live stream Celebration as well as we thought. So, anyways, we'll definitely hear the news.
Okay. So quick predictions. Yeah. We're gonna get a Skeleton Crew trailer. I think that's a given. That's the next thing coming out. There's nothing on that. I think we're gonna get an Andor teaser with a release window. Maybe like winter 2025. Yeah. We're going to get an animated series teaser, because we know Lucasfilm is cooking something up.
Long, what do you think?
A short teaser?
Like as in a short, like a Tales of the Jedi, Tales of the Empire?
No, like another ongoing animated series. And then we're going to get the Acolyte season 2 confirmation of, hey, we've been working on season 1, or we've been working on the script for season 2. It's going to be filmed next year. Yeah. And then if we can get those, at least 1 or 2 of those, I'll be happy.
Honestly, the only thing, because we know Andor's coming. We know Skeleton Crew is coming. Thankfully, it's actually going to happen. That's the one thing we're all waiting with bated breath for, is this season 2 confirmation, because it ended on such a cliffhanger, right?
Yes, and what gets me about it is they're having Manny Jacinto at the booth.
Okay,
and they really said in the description, talking about the first season of Acolyte. I'm like, that's a dead giveaway.
But also just, the actual popularity. Twitter isn't real life. The actual popularity of that show. When it was good, it was truly great.
Yeah,
that show, and the way it ends, it demands. Leslie wrote that ending to demand a season 2. So come on, do the right thing. But yeah, also these smaller stories called Darth Vader 49 and Edge of Balance Volume 3. We'll be around to talk about that. Before we get back to that, Chris, we've gone an hour and a half. No, I don't know if this is our longest episode yet, but we got to talk about it, I guess.
I think it is.
There we go. Where can they find you on the internet?
Yeah, you can find me in all my San Diego Comic-Con coverage, youtube.com/Star Raptor. So I basically have a video that is specifically with Star Wars, me doing the tour of all the Star Wars booths at the Lucasfilm Pavilion. I also have me and Dom and Ben and Chris from the Star Wars Underworld talking about the breakdown of what we've seen in that big presentation. I also have a general Comic-Con vlog of me just going around seeing all the non-Star Wars stuff, even though I think I do have 1 or 2 Star Wars shots in there regardless, with cosplay as well. It's my cosplay video as well. And then I have a vlog of me, because I didn't just go to San Diego. I went and made a big Southern California trip out of it. So I have me going to Santa Monica, going to Venice Beach, going to Universal Studios, going to Hollywood Boulevard, going on a train down to San Diego, then going exploring around San Diego, like Ocean Beach, Mission Beach, the zoo, all the off-site things I walked by because I wasn't going to wait 3 hours to go into the FX or the Hulu booths because they were literally 3 hours waiting in the sun. I was like, I'm not going to do that. And then stuff around, so there's all that content there. And if that wasn't enough, I played through and reviewed the Star Wars Bounty Hunter remaster, which is doing very well on YouTube, which very much surprises me. So if you want to see a decent shooting off of the hip type style review of me just maybe going into a little bit of a rant towards the end of that video about some
salty
about things I maybe didn't like about said game, then go ahead. So yeah, I've been busy. I've been very busy over on YouTube, and it's good to be back podcasting. I really it felt good to take a break, but it feels good because I feel fully recharged, and you can see me talking even more later on this Sunday. Yeah, this Sunday I'll be returning on my own show, Outer Rim Transmission. We'll be breaking down everything we were just speculating about with the D23, and I'll probably talk more about San Diego because those guys haven't heard me talk about it yet. So there you go. There's a bunch of stuff coming. What you just got to know about is youtube.com/StarRaptor and Twitter at StarRaptor as well. But yeah, it's been a great show. Thanks for having me once again, man, and thanks for holding down the fort last week.
Yeah, I mean, last week I went 47 minutes on my own, so we'll see if you're able. If you end up doing on your own on the 21st, see if you can match that. I'm kidding. Challenge you. I'm sure you're gonna exceed it. There we go. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram, on Instagram and Threads. Personally, MNEUG1138. Kind of getting into the threads. A little Olympics threads is a whole thing. Also Instagram at beaches.foodie. If you want some food on your timeline, because there are these things like going to Santa Monica and the San Diego Zoo, things in the real world that we also do. We live in the real world. It's true. My Montreal trip on my personal Instagram.
Oh yeah, good.
Check that out. But yeah, and of course that Iron Cannon Pod, EYEONCANONPOD. Check out Joel and I believe Red Leader on Monday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific. Right here on the Star Wars Underworld YouTube channel and Facebook and Twitch, and Iron Cannon Twitch as well. Just chatting about the Tales of the Jedi comic from the 90s, going into that deep dive. Why not? And then we'll keep you up to date about what's happening the week later. But also definitely, I will be at Fan Expo Canada. I will have at least one one panel. I'll be in one panel about Taylor. That'll be fun. And then. Hopefully be able to do some interviews. We'll see what happens. Certainly kind of coverage about what we see, what might get talked about, because lots of great Star Wars guests actually. Bryce Dallas Howard, Tamura Morrison. Tamura freaking Morrison is coming to Fan Expo Canada.
Oh my gosh,
assuming he makes it, assuming he doesn't cancel, but that's a huge deal. So maybe that's nice that I'm only in one panel. That means I can go off and go to those other things, and then see what we do with Star Trek, with some Marvel stuff there. But it's also, last Fan Expo was during the strike, and this Fan Expo is not. So
yeah,
that'll be fun. And then of course, be a good gear up New York Comic Con.
Oh yeah,
in October. A fun little thing. I'm going to get my warm up in this Saturday at VonCon. It's actually the municipality, the part of Toronto where I grew up. They do kind of just a little show, but it's all those little shows. Those are the bread and butter, especially for local. They are for especially for merch and local sales. You get some pretty good deals. So I'll probably maybe take some photos there. It'll be fun on Saturday to get the warm up for Fan Expo on the weekend after that, from the 22nd to the 25th. It's the third largest. So you went to the most important. We're going to the largest in October, and then of course Fan Expo is the third largest in North America. It should be big. It should be a big one. I think it's going to be huge because they've really ramped up the guests and they haven't ramped up the cancellations. So. That's the thing. It's sad. I think the border and different things. It's tricky sometimes, but because it's late August, so. But yeah, hopefully, this one it's looking good. It's looking good. I'll say this. hoping we get some good Star Wars comics. We usually get some great Star Wars artists. Some of them are right here in Toronto, like Mike Del Mundo is right here in Toronto. Megan Wong, of course. And so, yeah, we usually get Sam Maggs is from here. So she's been, so yeah. So yeah, we'll see. So keep that locked. Anything Star Wars, I'll probably throw up it as an Insta story on Iron Cannon. And then anything else, I'll probably throw up Insta stories at MNUG. So please do check that out. Looking forward to it. It's gonna be a fun con. You guys got the San Diego bubble. I'm gonna get the Fan Expo bubble, and then we'll converge on the New York bubble.
Yep,
it'll be a good time. So, anyways, until then, I did get this figured out here where I can find this releasing next week. Yeah, please do go to your local comic book shop. You can get them on digital, get them on Amazon. But yeah, go to your local brick and mortar comic book shop. Pick up Vader 49, pick up Edge of Balance Volume 3. I guess those might be Edge of Balance might be also bookstores. I'm guessing.
Oh, for sure it will be.
Yeah. So and that comes out Tuesday. Vader, of course, comes out Wednesday. Because Wednesdays are for comics, but Tuesdays are for books. So there we go. So yeah, please do check that out, go for it, and then of course on our socials. But Chris, it's been fun, it's been long, but it's been fun. Yeah, until next time, happy reading for light and life.